question for all of you. When was the last time you forgot your phone and you were at ease? When was the last time that you forgot what you were doing on the phone? But you were doing something, right? But you forgot what you were doing. We somehow are living in one of the most connected times ever, and yet we feel disconnected. I think there is one illness that is rising across the world, and that's loneliness. How is it that there are multiple connections that we have, and yet we feel alone? Mind you, this is not an anti AI talk. Let me just clarify that from the beginning. However, let me also expand this term AI. I would say AI is any form of technology that is not plugged into NI. Now, you may be wondering, what is NI? Maybe it's the first time someone is telling me NI. I've always heard about AI, right? That's the buzzword right now for the last few years. But what the hell is AI? NI. NI is nature's intelligence. And today, I'm here to talk to you about NI versus AI and which one should you choose as your ally. Nature's intelligence. How do we really define intelligence, right? Some may say that intelligence is your power of thought, okay, it's your creative power. But when you really look at it, intelligence is problem solving. Intelligence is the ability to find what it takes to solve a problem by looking at all conditions brought together. Now, if you look at that particular definition, then our AI, if you look at it from the perspective of any kind of technology that we use, is probably about 300 years old. That's three with the two zeros. But NI, that ability to problem solve, right? That ability to do experiments and take in those feedback loops. Any guess how long has it been that this intelligence is evolving? 4.5 billion years old on our home in this planet. That's 4.5 and 9 zeros after it. Intelligence that's slowly evolving. Intelligence that's experimenting, that's problem solving, creating systems, and in fact, creating us, who we are. Trees talk. Do you guys know that? We often view a tree as the silent being. It gives us shade, gives us fruits, gives us comforts. But how many of us know that they really talk? Yes. Trees do really talk to each other. They are connected through the mycelium fungal network. They pass information through it. They take care of the young through it. And our internet actually mimics the world's first internet. This is not the World Wide Web. This is the Hood Wide Web. And it's super intelligent. Yes. So when someone told me this, that trees talk to each other, I was like, Okay, let me also go and talk to a tree. So I happened to go up to this tree, okay, and try to talk to it because it was blossoming after 9 years. I planted this tree. It's a cherry blossom, or what we call a panyu tree. And if any of you have experienced cherry blossom tree in all its blooming glory, you'll realize the kind of joy that erupts in you too. So with a similar joy, I went, trying to talk to the tree. So I realized that to talk, to communicate, to plug in to an eye or the hood wide web, you need patience. We once had bridges that acted as interfaces, probably people who could transcribe the language into a way that we would understand. In the hills, we used to call them jatris or shamans across the world. As the rise of technology that we see around us has taken place, we've seen less of them. This is a photo of a jackery that my friend Alim, who is doing incredible work on researching the wisdom of our elders. So, when the bridges are broken, is when we are disconnected. We can't go to the other side. They were the ones who connected us to the world that we cannot see. We probably can feel it, the other world, but the other world can see us, can feel us. There is intelligence there. This crisis of identity is something that is rising rapidly. You'll see it in the news every single day that people were so caught up in the online world, they stopped living the real life. This world that defines a part of them, but while connecting themselves to the world of AI, technology, they managed to pull out all the plugs that connected them to an eye, which is nature's intelligence, which is also something that connects all of us. And you may think, does it always work in a wired way? Does it always need a wired connection? No, it works wirelessly too. This identity crisis that is become the bane of our civilization is not something that is an individual problem. If you feel lonely, if you feel that you identify with this crisis, it is not a personal failure. It is a systemic failure. Let me repeat that. Loneliness is not a personal failure, it is a systemic failure. Now, you may ask me, how do I know? Because I've lived through it. There was a time when I believed in this world of technology. I still do believe, but not technology as a supreme being, but technology as a little part of who we are. There was a time when I believed that learning, understanding, working on technology would give us the joy of life. So, my corporate career actually has a very interesting beginning because growing up in the hills during the time that we grew up, We grew up as rebels, and most of the times rebels without a cause. So I also rebelled against the education system that time. So much so that I dropped out of college because it was interfering with my education, I thought. But then I had to prove myself. So I got into a corporate job. And before that, actually, I started selling credit cards in traffic lights. That was my first job. I started off as a call center agent. But then I was determined to understand technology, build on it. I was determined to climb this ladder of success that was determined to it, that was explained to me as GDP, consumption based story of growth. I kept climbing. A few years later, I was the product head of an edutech company in Hyderabad. And we even took our products across the world. This was in Dubai in the World Education Forum. I felt, the world would feel different when I kept climbing the ladder. And from the top, when I was up there, I just felt, when you climb up and you feel that you are see a very panoramic view of success, I realized that I've been climbing this ladder for so long, but it's leaning against the wrong wall because my body was crashing, my relationships were crashing. The world around did not make sense anymore. They told me buy a car, I bought one. They told me buy a house, I bought one. They told me have a great paying job, I had one. But something felt missing. I felt lonely, I felt disconnected, I felt out of the world. I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. I was diagnosed as someone whose stress levels had skyrocketed. And I started forgetting. Mind you, this is before the advent of the so called AI. I started forgetting. That's when I realized that I need to climb down the ladder. I need to go ahead and find myself. So I climbed down the ladder and I decided to travel. While traveling, I found permaculture as one of my guiding lights, which had very simple ethical system for me, which said, if you want to feel successful, just ensure that you have this checklist right, which is earth care, people care, and fair share. And I decided to rewild myself. Started off by rewilding my body. I started running with my dogs in the forest trails. I've run 200-kilometer trail runs in the mountains, which means running 15 to about 20 hours continuously. And I look forward to now running a 100-miler soon. And the rewilding also meant that we rewild the world around us. It meant cleaning up our rivers. It meant understanding that true wealth does not mean climbing up the 10th floor of an apartment that you paid crores of rupees and then putting on an air purifier or putting on a mask, but the ability to step out, breathe, clean, crisp air, drink water straight from the rivers. It meant to create an ecosystem that embraced the world around it. When you build dwellings, it meant not dwellings that stood out, but dwellings that blended in. The journey was quite interesting right now where we are because we recently, with our initiative, got recognized in the Global Responsible Tourism Forum in London recently in November. We got the Silver Award. My wonderful team back home, which does this crusade called Zero Waste Andolan, they have now built North Bengal's first materials recovery facility. We've done elections zero waste, we've made schools zero waste, we've made communities zero waste, and right now we are taking off close to 500,000 kgs of waste off the landfills every single year. A lot of people ask me, so you are the founder of TD? I say, no, I'm not the founder, I'm the founding gardener. Gardening is different. Gardening is creating an ecosystem that thrives. It's unlike farming, that's about extraction. Gardening is about creating an ecosystem that understands that we are all connected. To give you an example here, you must have noticed that there are no plastic bottles. Thank you, TEDxInspiria, for being part of this ecosystem now. That would take off probably thousands of plastic water bottles when you carry these reusable bottles and continue to use it. You are a part of the ecosystem now. A gardener doesn't force growth. It just creates an ecosystem, and based on that, ecosystem thrives. So when we say NI versus AI, choose your ally, I would say you don't need to choose. Because let me tell you that the tree actually talked to me when I was coming down here from my home. And you might have noticed this tree when you're going up just over Longview Tea Estate, and asked me to pass on this message to you. Grow your branches, use the technology, but do not forget to water your roots. That's nature's intelligence. Thank you.